with new headlines in the US about this bombshell new court battle taking place next month. Just got a whole load worse for Meghan Markle because her sister Samantha ain't going anywhere. $75,000 lawsuit after the 44-year-old told Winfrey that she grew up as an only child during her and Prince Harry's bombshell March 20.
Meghan really thought she silenced her sister's voice for good. But Samantha Markle just dragged her straight into court, this time armed with stacks of receipts that hit harder than any tabloid headline. What once floated around as a faint whisper in gossip columns has now erupted into a full-blown legal earthquake, shaking the royal brand to its core. Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, who's been polishing her public image like a crown jewel for years, suddenly finds herself cornered by someone she never thought could touch her own half-sister. And here's the wild part.
Gearing up for yet another legal bout with her half-sister Samantha Markle, the Post can confirm. The Duchess of Sussex emerged victorious in early 2023.
When Samantha first filed against Meghan, the world laughed it off, brushing it aside like just another family spat. Most assumed it would fizzle before it ever reached daylight. But instead of fading, it's exploded into the spotlight.
Federal court in Florida for allegedly making demonstrably false and malicious statements about her to a world audience.
And this time, Samantha's not backing down. She's got the kind of receipts that can't be ignored, and Meghan's carefully built facade is starting to crack right in front of us. At first, the judge brushed Samantha's lawsuit off the table, calling Meghan's words nothing more than opinions, not hard facts, basically untouchable in court. The headlines screamed case closed, and Meghan's camp celebrated like it was all over.
However, documents obtained by the Post show that the hearing will now take place on September the 9th in Jacksonville, Florida.
But that celebration? Way too early, because for Samantha's legal team, that so-called dismissal wasn't a loss at all. It was the playbook they'd been waiting for. Every weak spot in Meghan's defense, every legal loophole, every careless mistake in the first filing suddenly transformed into a roadmap for revenge.
To her 2023 filing, Sam had previously filed her libel lawsuit against Meghan in late 2022, 2 years after the Sussexes quit royal life.
And this time, Samantha's team studied it line by line. Now Samantha is storming back into court, sharper, colder, and far more dangerous than anyone ever expected. No more sloppy paperwork, no more easy outs for Meghan. This comeback is calculated, strategic, and designed to strike where Meghan's defense is weakest.
Has been left livid that Sam just won't go away.
What once looked like a closed chapter has flipped into the opening of an even uglier legal war. And Meghan's the one caught in the crossfire. This time, Samantha's appeal isn't some sob story about hurt feelings or family drama. It's about something far more dangerous: intent. Her lawyers are making the bold claim that Meghan didn't just casually share her truth. No, they say she sat down, calculated, and crafted her words with precision, fully aware of the damage they'd inflict on her half-sister's reputation.
Things were said about me that weren't true. And, even though it's not defamation item by item, all things taken together.
This is where the family feud takes a sinister turn, from messy sibling squabbles into a high-stakes courtroom chess match. And make no mistake, Samantha's team isn't moving pawns here. They're moving queens and rooks, striking directly at Meghan's weak spots. The argument cuts like a knife. Meghan's words weren't slip-ups. They weren't emotional blurts in the heat of the moment. They were deliberate shots fired.
They had executive control.
By locking the spotlight on intent, Samantha's team is forcing the court to peel back every polished interview, every glossy Netflix episode, every tearful confession, and ask the chilling question: was this all a calculated takedown? For Meghan, this is the nightmare scenario she's been trying to outrun.
It hurt. It was a character assassination, and damaging to me in a lot of ways. And so I don't, it's not like she came out and publicly said things.
That whole defense of "I was just telling my story" suddenly collapses like a house of cards. Because if the court buys Samantha's framing, then Meghan's multi-million-dollar media empire isn't storytelling anymore. It's evidence.
Publicly say things, as a royal and with her PR. And
every word, every scene, every dramatic pause could be twisted into proof that her brand wasn't about healing. It was about destroying her own bloodline. The whole game flipped the second Meghan's Netflix series dropped worldwide.
For her. And in my opinion, that doesn't make her any less culpable. So there was a lot of damage done to me. It was fake news PR.
This wasn't some spur-of-the-moment interview where emotions spilled out unfiltered. No, this was a 6-part production polished to perfection, filmed with Hollywood lighting, dramatic camera angles, and edited for maximum impact over months. And now, Samantha Markle's legal team is calling it exactly what it looks like. A weaponized narrative. Every dramatic pause, every teardrop close-up, every carefully chosen musical cue is being dragged into the spotlight.
People have said to me, Samantha, well, how is it fake news about?
Samantha's lawyers are hammering the point that this wasn't Meghan opening up her heart. It was a masterclass in PR warfare, designed to sculpt the public's perception and cast Samantha as the villain on a global stage. And here's the kicker. It's not just what Meghan said, it's where and how she said it.
I don't have the power to pay a PR house and television shows and magazines to put out articles about her. I don't have the power to.
This wasn't a cozy chat on Oprah. This was Netflix, translated into dozens of languages, beamed into more than 200 million homes across the planet. Samantha argues that the reach turned the sting into a full-scale reputation massacre, blowing up the damage to levels no courtroom could ignore. The legal argument couldn't be clearer. Meghan didn't just tell her story, she weaponized it, packaged it, and sold it to the world, with Samantha's name branded as collateral damage.
Combat the articles that are false that are put out there about me and about my dad. She does. And so there's no one on this planet.
This wasn't Meghan casually recalling memories over tea. This was a full-on campaign. A meticulously scripted storyline designed to crown Meghan as the eternal victim while painting Samantha as the heartless antagonist. And here's the part that's blowing up in court. This series wasn't filmed in a single weekend. It took months of planning, scripting, editing, and polishing, which means Meghan had every opportunity to step back, revise, or retract. But she never did.
The articles that go out about family aren't directed by her or approved by her.
What started as a messy sibling feud has now escalated into a legal firestorm with international reach. If the court sides with Samantha, the Netflix series could be reclassified as more than glossy entertainment. It could become hard evidence of calculated harm broadcast on a global scale. For Meghan, the stakes couldn't be higher. The very media machine that once elevated her into Hollywood royalty is now being turned against her like a weapon.
And that's the difference. So, small towns in Poland, remember that fake article that said Samantha's on a fixated persons list?
Every frame, every emotional pause, every perfectly lit confessional moment could now serve as proof that this wasn't raw honesty. It was intentional character assassination.
Persons list? I got proof from Scotland Yard and Met Police that never existed.
And Samantha, she's standing tall, ready to make the world see Meghan's crown jewel project not as truth-telling, but as a global smear campaign. Samantha Markle isn't walking into court with gossip clippings or emotional pleas. She's coming armed with what insiders are calling a mountain of evidence that could blow Meghan's entire defense apart. We're talking about receipts stacked sky high, leaked emails, private text chains, internal production notes, and even behind-the-scenes recordings that hint Meghan and her team weren't just filming a documentary. They were plotting how each family member would be portrayed.
And there's an article out there that said that was at the behest of her protection officer, who allegedly went to Roy Anika and put that fake article out.
Every draft of that Netflix script, every time-stamped edit, every screenshot pulled from her inner circle could now be twisted into evidence that this wasn't innocent storytelling. It was a strategic character takedown, and Samantha's legal team is ready to make that case. Legal insiders are already buzzing that this is where things get truly dangerous for Meghan. Up until now, she's leaned on the shield of, "I was only sharing my truth." But with this kind of paper trail,
mental health counselor. So if everyone in the world is making me look like Patricia Hearst, wouldn't that be injurious not only to my professional but my personal life?
That defense suddenly looks flimsy. If even a fraction of these receipts hold up in court, Meghan won't just be fighting public perception. She'll be staring down the possibility that her crown jewel Netflix deal becomes the smoking gun that unravels everything. If Samantha's lawyers manage to prove premeditation, the whole case flips upside down. What once looked like protected opinion could instantly transform into actionable defamation. And that's the legal nightmare Meghan never wanted to face.
Small towns in Poland, I saw people around the world saying, even Fox News erroneously said, Meghan Markle's sister has landed herself on a fixated persons list. Nobody did their homework. Nobody contacted Scotland Yard.
Suddenly, every tearful close-up, every slow-motion pause, every dramatic line from her Netflix series could be dissected as part of a cold, calculated plan to shred her half-sister's reputation. And here's where it gets even messier. Insiders say Samantha's team isn't stopping at Netflix footage. They're pulling receipts from Meghan's entire public life, press appearances, carefully curated social media posts, even PR campaigns spun by her team. The strategy? To build a paper trail that shows Meghan knew exactly how her words would land, and that she weaponized her global platform to hit Samantha where it hurt most.
Proof, you were never in their computer. There's not a fixated persons list. You're not even there. This is not true. And I did a live interview.
For Meghan, this isn't just inconvenient background noise. It's a full-on legal minefield. What once looked like media brilliance, clever branding, and global influence could now be reframed as something darker, weaponized storytelling with intent to harm. If the court buys that version, Meghan's entire empire, from Hollywood deals to royal interviews, could be painted as evidence in a campaign to destroy her own sister. With Samantha Markle sitting on what insiders are calling explosive evidence, Meghan may be walking into her most brutal courtroom showdown yet. The story she thought was neatly under control is now wobbling on the edge of a full-blown legal catastrophe. And here's the twist.
To Daily Mail TV, but why is it that nobody in the world printed that to exonerate me? Because it doesn't get the quarter-hour share ratings. It's not.
This battle isn't just about carefully edited sound bites or words splashed across a screen. Samantha's legal team is driving home a darker argument, that Meghan's public comments didn't just tarnish her sister's image, they unleashed a wave of harassment that turned Samantha's entire life upside down. The second Meghan's interviews and Netflix series hit the airwaves, Samantha claims she wasn't just dealing with a few angry trolls. Instead, she says she was buried under a tidal wave of online abuse, messages, threats, and public smears that painted her as the villain Meghan had framed.
So everyone around the world thought I was on a fixated persons list. Not true.
According to her lawyers, this isn't just public fallout, it's direct damage fueled by Meghan's global spotlight. And now, if the court buys into this narrative, Meghan's media empire won't just be questioned, it could be held responsible for igniting a digital mob against her own sister.
I can't go back to 2018 and sue, and by the time I figured out what was going on, I had almost...
We're not just talking about a few nasty comments online. Samantha's side claims it escalated into something far more disturbing. According to sources close to the case, she was hit with hundreds of threatening messages, non-stop harassment, and smear campaigns that turned her everyday life into chaos. And it didn't stop on the internet.
I can't go back to 2018 and sue, and by the time I figured out what was going on...
Reports suggest things spilled into the real world, with Samantha allegedly being doxxed, strangers showing up near her home, and a constant cloud of intimidation hanging over her. What was once a sibling rivalry has now crossed into a territory that forced her to live in fear, feeling like she couldn't even step outside without looking over her shoulder. Her legal team is making one point crystal clear.
In the world who prints that, and they didn't all say allegedly or reportedly. A lot of them just said it verbatim. Samantha Markle is on a fixated persons list. It's not true. And it was at the direction.
This wasn't random hate, it wasn't accidental. They're drawing a direct line between Meghan's public statements, the interviews, the Netflix series, the press tours, and the storm of harassment that followed.
It's horrible defamation. That's not part of my suit, but that is part of the big picture. And I shouldn't have had to go through that.
Absolutely not. Sam, has she ever tried to make amends? Has she ever tried?
In their eyes, Meghan didn't just tell her truth, she lit the match that set Samantha's world on fire. They're calling it influencer harassment. And the label alone is shaking up Hollywood. The idea is simple but explosive. When someone with Meghan's massive global reach paints another person in a dark light, it's more than gossip. It's a call to action for millions of loyal followers who hang on her every word.
This lawsuit by, for example, offering to settle with you and publicly apologize.
No, and it's not.
Samantha's team is arguing that Meghan knew exactly what would happen. That by branding her half-sister as toxic or unstable, she basically opened the floodgates for her fan base to unleash pure chaos. And here's the part keeping celebrities up at night. If the court accepts this framing, it could set a precedent that rattles the very foundation of celebrity culture. No longer could A-listers hide behind the easy shield of, "I was just sharing my truth."
Almost 7 years of my life, all of these things taken together.
If their narratives spark harassment, intimidation, or real-world harm, suddenly the spotlight comes with legal responsibility. And for Meghan, that's terrifying, because now this case isn't just about Samantha's reputation anymore. It's about accountability in the digital age, where one superstar's words can ripple across continents, mobilize millions, and change someone's life overnight.
I have a social life because people believe this stuff. If I went to the doctor's office, people would look at me.
If Meghan loses here, every megastar with a platform will be forced to rethink how much damage a single truth can cause. Samantha Markle's lawsuit isn't just about cleaning up her reputation. Her team says it cuts far deeper than public image. They claim Meghan's words didn't just smear her name. They left wounds that no camera could capture, emotional trauma, and long-lasting psychological scars that still follow her today. According to court insiders, Samantha's lawyers have assembled an entire lineup of mental health professionals prepared to testify under oath.
Because they had read all of these horrible articles in bold font headlines.
And this isn't about vague claims of hurt feelings. These are documented diagnoses, backed by medical records and expert evaluations. We're talking about Samantha allegedly developing PTSD, severe anxiety, and ongoing depression. Conditions her lawyers insist were triggered by the way Meghan's interviews and Netflix series painted her on a global stage.
But they would think, well, if it wasn't true, why did Fox News say it? Because they didn't know then about aggregate news and fake news. Thank God.
The chilling part? Samantha's side is arguing that this wasn't just an unfortunate side effect of fame. They claim it was the predictable fallout of Meghan weaponizing her platform, knowing her words would hit harder than any tabloid headline ever could. If those expert testimonies convince the court, then Meghan won't just be battling accusations of defamation. She could be facing the devastating argument that her empire left her own sister psychologically broken.
A problem with cumulatively, especially in the United States. But I never thought I would find myself in the crosshairs of that.
Insiders claim the evidence Samantha's lawyers are lining up is devastating. We're talking therapy transcripts, psychiatric evaluations, even prescriptions from doctors. This isn't the kind of thing you can wave away as a moment of hurt feelings. They're painting a picture of a full-blown mental health crisis that derailed the course of Samantha's life. And here's where it gets dangerous for Meghan. Her team can't simply sweep this under the rug. If a judge sees a clear timeline linking Meghan's interviews, her Netflix spectacle, and Samantha's alleged psychological breakdown, then suddenly Meghan's storytelling doesn't look harmless anymore. It looks destructive, intentional, and merciless.
Put everybody and give everybody cease and desist letters rendered me a victim. So I was totally powerless.
But the most damaging blow isn't just the evidence itself, it's the contrast. Meghan has spent years polishing her brand as the compassionate Duchess, the advocate for kindness, the global voice for the voiceless. Yet Samantha's attorneys are planning to rip that mask away and flip the image on its head. Their argument? That behind the carefully staged speeches and emotional advocacy sits a woman who allegedly weaponized her fame and influence against her own sister, someone without the power, platform, or protection to fight back.
Didn't she, Sam? That's the point. She wanted to destroy you, because of course you were one of the only people who truly knew about her past.
If the jury buys into that narrative, Meghan's brand of compassion could collapse into something far darker, hypocrisy on a royal scale. If the jury buys into Samantha's framing, Meghan won't just look like a sister with unresolved family drama, she'll look like a bully. And that's a label no duchess can afford to wear, not in the court of law, and definitely not in the court of public opinion.
By people like me, as to why the royal family needed to be warned. And anyone can look back now and say, well, actually...
But here's where things get truly messy. The lawsuit is moving past headlines and interviews into the brutal stage of discovery, and that means Meghan Markle's carefully guarded private world could be cracked wide open for everyone to see. Discovery is the part of a trial where both sides are forced to hand over evidence, documents, emails, texts, even recordings. And word is, Samantha's legal team is practically salivating at the chance to raid Meghan's digital closet.
Sam was saying at the time was very moderate because what has happened has come true times a million.
Right.
Times a million.
Right.
I mean, you weren't saying, look, she's going to try and...
Picture this. The court demanding Meghan's WhatsApp chats, old email threads, back and forths with PR advisors, even early drafts of speeches and Netflix scripts, if there's proof she rehearsed the estranged sister narrative with her team. Those receipts won't just stay behind closed doors. They could explode into the courtroom and the press. For Meghan, that's not just invasive, it's potentially catastrophic. Because once discovery begins, the truth isn't just told, it's exposed line by line, message by message.
you'd experienced it, your family had experienced it.
Well, William allegedly said the same thing, but it's not like all of these articles said.
And then there's Meghan's image, the crown jewel she's guarded for years. She's carefully shaped herself as the feminist icon, the humanitarian, the survivor of royal cruelty. But what happens if Discovery cracks that polished exterior? What if Samantha's team pulls out private messages that don't sound compassionate at all, but instead reveal strategy, mockery, or worse? A deliberate plan to erase her family from her narrative.
Said Samantha's bashing her sister. I wasn't bashing her just because I was out there defending our father. I was out there saying, pointing out which articles were not true.
Hollywood insiders are already whispering that Meghan's greatest fear isn't losing the lawsuit. It's losing control of her story. Because one leaked text, one sarcastic email, one draft script with notes in the margin could wipe out years of PR branding in a matter of seconds. Of course, Discovery is a double-edged sword. Samantha isn't walking in untouchable. Meghan's lawyers will get their shot at her records too, digging for contradictions, missteps, or anything to suggest Samantha exaggerated the fallout.
Grants her scholarships. She didn't work for the embassy. I was pointing out the lies. And I've never been out there slinging mud like some trolls in social media.
But here's the problem. Meghan's legal playbook is already starting to wobble. So far, her defense has been simple, that Samantha's claims are exaggerated, irrelevant, and that Meghan's comments fall safely under free speech. But critics are pointing out the obvious, that strategy might not survive a courtroom full of receipts.
True. About her personal life, I stuck to scope. I was out there defending the truth. I was out there pointing out what were lies about our family.
Once the evidence starts flying, free speech won't feel like a shield anymore. It might feel like paper in a hurricane. Why? Because a deposition could be Meghan's worst nightmare. She thrives in carefully controlled interviews where every question is rehearsed and every answer polished. But under cross-examination, that's a different world entirely. No script, no safety net, just raw pressure where one slip could ruin her case forever.
Really wanted to silence that bad boy fast. It's like, so.
And here's the kicker. The harder Meghan's defense team fights to keep emails sealed, limit discovery, or block certain evidence, the guiltier it makes her look. In a lawsuit built on truth versus lies, appearing like you've got something to hide is the most dangerous position of all. The stakes couldn't be higher.
And silence someone is to assassinate their character and throw dirt on them. So anytime they talk, people won't believe them. I think that was the goal. That's exactly what happened to me.
This stopped being a family feud a long time ago. It's now a courtroom war that could reshape Meghan Markle's entire future. We're talking millions in damages, plus the humiliation of being branded a liar in open court. Imagine the headlines. Duchess exposed in defamation case by estranged sister.
7 years of my life, at least, and I want it back. There's got to be a rebuilding of my reputation online, but I can't go back. I can't even have Grok.
That sting would cut deeper than any royal snub. Because here's the reality. Once a public figure is labeled dishonest, the stain almost never washes off. It haunts their career, their credibility, even their legacy. For Meghan, this lawsuit isn't just about two sisters at war. It's about her crown, her Hollywood standing, and the global image she's desperate to protect. One wrong move in court, and everything she's built could come crashing down in front of the world. So tell me, do you think Meghan can survive this legal firestorm? Or is Samantha about to tear her empire apart? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe. Because if you think this was explosive, trust me, the next chapter is going to be even crazier.